Hi, friends. Welcome back to Seek the Magic. I'm your host, Erin, and today we are exploring one of the most transformative tools in life, emotional regulation, both as it relates to our own lives, but then also how we think about emotional regulation in the context of parenting. I'm joined by Nicole, my wonderful guest and fellow mom. We connected during Alyssa Nobriga's transformational coaching program, which dives into many things, but one of which is exploring your own emotions, patterns, and inner child. And it so happens that there are moms in the group that decided to create their own mini group and have conversations and start connecting about how having kids and young kids help them explore their own emotional regulation, but then that what we were learning really impacted how we were raising our kids. So we're going to get into it in today's episode and talk about how our own emotional world can open up more presence and connection and magic with our children. So welcome, Nicole.
Thank you, Erin. I'm so excited to be here with you and excited to talk about this topic. I love the way that you introduced it because I feel like that was my introduction into, like a crash course in emotional regulation, right? Was in Alyssa's program with you and doing all of that work and bringing so much awareness to where my nervous system was, right, was so valuable. And then I got to see how it was impacting my relationship with my little ones, which was pretty cool. So I'm loving connecting with other moms on this topic and supporting them and kind of, taking more control of their nervous systems and supporting their kids better too. So yeah, I'm excited to be here with you.
Awesome. Yeah, I feel lucky that, part of me when we were taking this class is like, I wish I learned this in my 20s, but then part of me said, oh, I'm glad I'm learning it now as I'm raising my kids, because it's just bringing a whole new depth and new richness and to everything that we're learning and how we can connect with our kids on it immediately.
So true. So true. Yeah.
So maybe just to start, maybe Nicole, you can tell us a little bit about yourself, your family, and how many kids you have, and what your life is like now.
Yeah, I would love to. I'd love to. So, our kids are around the same age. Erin, I've got a 4-year-old. He's turning 4 this week. And my little guy just turned 2. So they're about 21 months apart. 2 boys. So boy mom is a thing. The boy moms out there know it. It's
absolutely.
They are a very particular and special breed of wild animal. And I love it that way. But as I was mentioning a minute ago, they've really been my introduction to emotional regulation and understanding my own nervous system. And even working as a therapist, for years before I had my first son, I understood all of this on paper, I think, and I had worked with families, and I think that's when, polyvagal theory was becoming a big thing, and is very much in the zeitgeist, right? And so I understood a lot of this on paper. And then when I had really my youngest son is when I started to understand, like, something is wrong. I'm not doing okay. I feel really off. I'm really anxious all the time, even when there's not sort of stressful stimuli in my face, right? It's really hard to relax, right? I would be having a conversation with my husband and I would notice how calm he was. And he, was talking about something that he was interested in or something that like a book that he was reading. And I would just kind of tune in and be like, I feel like I'm about to die. It feels so intense. What is going on here? And so that's when I really started to connect with what I had been learning sort of on paper in an academic way and working with my clients around with what I was actually experiencing as a mom and understanding how it was affecting not just my relationship with my kids, but my relationship with my husband, really all of my relationships, but in particular, our household and the flow of our household. So it was a huge invitation to me to get really curious, right? About like, how did I get here? What's causing this? What are some triggers for this? And then what can I do to sort of respond to what is happening to be a little bit more present and be able to enjoy conversations about art with my husband like I always have before, right? Like, how can I get back to that version of myself that I was? And it's been a journey. It really has.
Yeah. So do you think that just the state of motherhood and, when you had your second child, that heightened emotions, so then you became more attuned to like, I need to take some sort of proactive, stance on this for myself?
Yeah, absolutely. I think with just one child, it was hard and it was a transition, and becoming a mom for the first time, there was a lot of recognition around me. And so there was a lot of normalization for what I was going through. Like, you're becoming a mom for the first time. And I would have conversations with my husband. He's becoming a dad for the first time. So there was a lot of normalization and validation of my experience. And that was, for the first almost 2 years of motherhood for me. And then I think a big piece that I noticed is when I had Jonah, my little guy, there was less of that. It was like it was humdrum by
You've
that
done this.
point.
Yeah.
You've done this
Yeah.
before, right? You're a pro
Yeah.
now. You've been doing this for
Mm-hmm.
21 months, right?
Right.
And you're a pro now. So I feel like I lost that level of sort of mental and emotional support that I was getting from the people around me. And that was a big catalyst, I think, for really not knowing how to take care of myself in the way that I had always taken care of myself. I wasn't able to do that in the ways that I
Yeah.
had before. And, time got less. I don't know
Yes.
if I like the way they said that, but that's genuinely what it felt like. Time got
Yes.
less.
Time is less.
Right? Time got less.
Yeah.
And so with that sort of unconscious retreat of support and literally not having as much time alone and as much
Yeah.
and just less time to, take care of the things that I had always taken care of, I wasn't taking care of myself in the same way that I always had been. So I think those were kind of two of the biggest factors for me. And it took a lot of, like I said, connecting of dots, understanding like, this is not a stimulus related thing. There's not anything stressful that's happening in the moment. And I think a big sort of awareness piece for me is those conversations in the evening with my husband
Mhm.
when all I wanted to do was go and be alone and want everything to stop. And he was looking to connect,
Oh my
and
goodness. I so hear you on
relate
that.
to this. Yeah.
Yes.
And
Oh my
it
God,
has
yes.
been a serious journey, right? To understand that I feel like the starting point for me was I don't want this. This is not
Yeah.
okay. I need something
Mhm.
different. And not not judging that was a huge part of, allowing myself to be curious and like, what is going on here? Because it was hard. This man that I love standing in front of me trying to connect with me in the way that we have always connected, that has felt so
Yeah.
sacred in the past. And I'm like, please just stop. Please just stop talking.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
first and foremost, I had to navigate, and I think, this is likely the case for a lot of moms. I had to navigate a lot of emotion and a lot of guilt and even shame and like, what is
Yeah.
going on here? And letting it be okay that this is where I was, getting to a place where I could verbalize to him, I'm not sure what's going on right now. I see what's happening. I love that you're trying to connect with me. And I feel like I need quiet. I feel like I need silence. And luckily, oh, he's fantastic. He's he's so supportive. I don't know. It's like he was born with this. But it seems like he took a class on like how to be the most supportive human that you can possibly be, because
Mhm.
he shows up so beautifully in these moments when I'm like, I don't know what the heck is going on. And I need
Yeah.
support. And I remember him saying, is it okay if I sit here with you or do you want to be alone? And I was like, actually, it is okay if you sit here with me. I would really like
Yeah.
for you to be here with me, but I'd like to be quiet.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of the first steps of this journey and, allowing myself to be where I was verbalizing it to him, not
Mm-hmm.
fully understanding what was going on, not fully understanding how to quote unquote fix it, right?
Right.
What to do about it. And luckily having that support. And over time, I think that became more understanding for me of like, this is what I need. This is the form that I need it in. And as I pulled in more tools and more resources, right, to regulate my nervous system on a more regular basis, and as I'm coming back into a state of regulation more often, where I'm not having to sort of be in manual mode and override my dysregulated nervous system, I now see those conversations with him and those moments for connection as like, hey, this is medicine for you too,
Right.
right?
And this was really rich, even though
Yeah.
you weren't having like the conversations you had before the kids, but this is actually like a deeper level of
Yes,
connection. Um,
exactly.
and I mean, I commend you for first of all recognizing it, because I think that's a turning point for you, and then, how you parent, but then also for your relationship, being able to say it out loud. I think
Mm,
one thing I have an issue with, or I'll say not an issue with, is something I need to work on, is like being able to articulate that, because I do feel
mm,
the shame, I feel embarrassed, I feel bad, like I've
mhm.
just put the kids to bed, and that's like a huge thing, and I want to be part of that, and that's like such an important part of their life. But yeah, after I do that, I want to like at least half an hour of, dysregulation, just like focus on me, because quite honestly, it's been the train of not just going to bed, but it's like picking them up from preschool, and then dinner, and
Mhm.
then, intense playtime and focus, and then bed, and that's all great. And before that, it's like I just
Absolutely.
finished work, and it's like that whole train. And then you're like, okay, I need time to balance and recalibrate.
I love that you're speaking to the difference. At least this is my experience of it. Like it felt very different to be dysregulated in the presence of my children than it did to be dysregulated in the presence of my husband. And while there was discomfort and guilt, and like I said, sometimes even shame present with my husband, the shame of being dysregulated with my little kids, right? Like when I was bringing awareness to this, Jonah, my youngest, was maybe 6 or 7 months old, right? So holding a baby in your arms and feeling like, I need you to go to bed. I need you to go to bed. I need this to stop. I need to go and be alone, right?
Hmm.
The shame in those moments is thick and heavy. And I remember drowning in like, this is not okay. This is not okay for me to be
Hmm.
showing up this way, right? And blaming myself for like, it's not his fault. He's just
Right.
doing exactly what he is supposed to be doing. He's not doing anything wrong. And so then what must be wrong?
Yeah, and also it's not my fault that I feel, it's like
Yeah.
two things can be true at once.
Yeah.
You can both intensely love your child more than anything, want
Hmm.
to be there for them, but at the same time think, I need time for myself. And then the thing is, how do I balance that? And how am I okay with that?
Yeah, absolutely. But yes, I love that that you're speaking to this, and this is what I really hope that moms are getting is both of these things are true, right? Like, yes, it is not great to, and I'm going to say act on those moments of dysregulation with our kids. And also it's so okay to feel like I can't be doing this right now. I need alone time. I need quiet. I need peace. And I am maxed out. So there was so much, I think, wisdom for me when I was willing and ready and able to listen to what was happening, right? Because in the beginning, I didn't necessarily have that clarity of like, I need to be alone. It was just
Mhm.
my body screaming, right? And when we talk about the nervous system, we're talking about like fight, right? Fight is I am going to punch you in the face, right? Or raising our voice, yelling, getting irritated, right? So that's fight. And then there's flee, which is like, I need to get the hell out of Dodge. I need to go and be someplace else right now. I cannot be here. And then, of course, freeze is that sort of like shutdown. I'm not present. I think of this as like robot mode. And so I think early on, all that I was aware of is like, oh, I'm I'm in flight. I'm in flight right now. I have to get out of here. But that was the level of understanding that I had at that point. And it took some, like you're verbalizing, Erin, it took a lot of self-compassion and curiosity for me to get to a point where I was like, oh, I just want to be alone. I'm not having enough time to myself. Oh, I'm not having enough moments of quiet. I used to have a lot of quiet in my life, and I liked that. Oh, that's a big part of my personality, right? But in the beginning, I did not necessarily have access to that wisdom, and it really took me sort of listening.
Yeah.
I can remember sort of in moments of desperation passing off my son to my husband and just going into my bedroom and just sitting in the dark, in the quiet, and being like, what's going on? What is this? What do I need? What do I do with this? And that's
Mm-hmm.
when that clarity would come of like, I need to be alone. I need quiet, And now that I am having more of a practice of tending to myself and tending to my nervous system, more wisdom comes. Like, I need to be near water and I need to be in connection with other moms. And like, I feel like I'm, picking up the breadcrumbs of self-care and the ways that I uniquely need to take care of myself to feel like my cup is full and I can, come back to my kids calm and peaceful and regulated, and with that sort of loving and gentle presence that I would always like to have with them.
Right. Yeah. No, I completely agree with that. And I think, as you said, the first step is the recognition,
Mhm.
and then having the self-compassion and saying, what do I need for me so I can show up in the best way I can for my kids?
Mhm.
And also the acknowledgement, we're not going to be the perfect, like, loving moms on the
Mhm.
inside all the time, but
Mhm.
how in those spaces of, being human, do we still show up in loving, caring ways for them, whether it's, tools like breath work, or,
Mm.
knowing that, okay, I'm with my kids now, but I've reserved time to, like, watch a Netflix show later, or, that sort of thing. So
Mm.
you can make space, because I think part of it is, when you do have that reaction that's like, okay, I need to be somewhere else right now. That's, your mind's sort of saying, This is what I'm used to. This is the way it was before." And now there's conflict. And so you have to, balance that and sort of adjust and regulate into this new reality that you're living in.
Yes, absolutely. I love that you're speaking to this, and it's making me remember moments that I could not pass off my son to my husband or anybody else, moments that I was alone with them and there were meltdowns happening.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
one tool that has really served me so well, and I share this with the parents that I work with, is during those meltdowns when it's super triggering to you and it's dysregulating your nervous system because they are so dysregulated. I have a practice of turning in toward myself and sort of away from my son in that moment. And what that looks like on the outside is not what it sounds like, right? So
Hmm.
I'm holding him if he'll allow me to hold him. If
Hmm.
he won't allow me
Hmm.
to hold him, I'm sitting next to him and I'm not leaving. But that sort of turn inward is me just coming to my own breath, right? And finding where it feels dysregulated in my system. And so just talking about it now, I can feel it like in my arms, all the way down the outsides of my arms is where I feel that sort of like electricity, right? there's sort of a churning in my stomach. And so while he is losing his mind, I am comforting him on the outside to whatever degree I can. And I am turning inward and just breathing and telling myself we're safe. We're okay. He is safe. He's okay. This is okay, right? Him losing it is okay. His emotion is okay. My response to it is okay. It's okay that this is hard. Like literally all of this is okay. And I'm coaching myself and I'm giving myself that pep talk and really love and nurturing that I am needing in that moment. And I think, when I share this with parents that I work with, they're like, is that okay? Like, I feel like I need to turn toward him. He needs me. And what I really, want to share is that your child is benefiting from what you are doing for yourself in that moment, right?
That's right.
And what we know is that children under the age of 7 do not regulate their own nervous systems. They do not have that ability yet, right? And so if you are putting your energy as a parent into turning toward your child and helping them regulate while your system is dysregulated, it is a waste of your time and energy, your very precious time and energy, right? And so this is really the best way that you can support your child in regulating in those moments is turning toward yourself and just creating some safety for them by being present physically, right? And this could be, again, holding them if they'll allow that. Sometimes, so my son, my oldest, went through sort of a phase of tantrums that looked like, pick me up, hold me, get the heck away from me. And he would push me away with his arms and legs. And so I remember having a practice of I'm staying with myself, I'm breathing, I'm kind of coaching myself. You're okay, you're safe, he's okay, this is okay. But on the outside, I would be saying, do you want me to hold you? I can hold you. And I would pick him up and then he would, push me away. And I would say, it seems like you want me to put you down. I'm going to put you down. And then he would say, no, hold me. And so I would just go with him back and forth,
That's
from
beautiful.
holding to setting him down. And all of this with my attention on myself, right? And I'll sometimes give the example of like, if you've ever been on a phone call with a girlfriend or maybe with a parent and you're like, we've had this conversation so many times, I can't even listen to it anymore. So you're just kind of, yeah, yeah. It's a little bit like that. But with more attention on yourself. So I'm verbalizing my support to him. I'm physically there and present with him, responding to, whatever is happening in the moment while really nurturing myself and focusing on keeping my breath long and slow and calm, relaxing all of the muscles in my body to the highest degree that I can in that moment, right? And moving around if I feel like I need to, right? So if it feels hard for me in that moment to stay still, I'll walk with him or I'll invite him to walk with me if that's possible.
Yeah, absolutely. As you said, I completely concur. A big, revelation for me, and I'm so glad that I learned it, is that yes, your child cannot emotionally regulate on their own, which says, number one, that what they're feeling and what they're doing is completely normal. And as you said, it is okay. And as you said that, mantra in a very calming way, I got, chills, because I think that that really is so important for us. And as you said, we calm down our energy level, and then it helps them, return to a state of being okay. But at the same time, so critical to be there with them and say, because they to some extent, feel they're just feeling, but then they're also, looking for that belonging and support. So being there and saying, you know, do you want me to hold you? Are you okay? How can I support? That sort of thing, to the extent you can, when they're just, going crazy over like not finding their blue truck or, something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I totally hear you on that. And I think those are key tools for us to keep in mind, the mantras, the breathing, And I think it's also looking at like, for me, I separate it into my ego analytical mind is like, I should be able to talk to them and calm them down. And like, this is how I expect it to go. And then there's, what we learned with Alyssa and just, exploration of the mind or the mind and the spirit and things like that is that you really have to tune into your body, focus on emotions. And that's the best way to help your child.
Absolutely. Yes. And what I have found is that this is where the magic happens in these moments. Like what
Mm-hmm.
I've experienced as sort of the calm after the storm,
Mm-hmm.
the calm that is present after I have really turned toward myself and taken care of my own nervous system, and he has attuned to that. It's almost like he understands what has happened, and it's like
Yeah.
I can feel his gratitude,
Yeah.
right? For
Mm-hmm.
like, "Oh my god, that was intense. Thank you so much for getting me through that." Like, the
Mm-hmm.
love and the connection that I feel with him in those moments after we have just weathered something together is so different than the
Mm-hmm.
energy of, like, waiting for a tantrum to be over and telling him, "You're okay. This isn't a big deal. We are gonna find that blue car later, but we have to go right now." Like, trying to fix it on sort of, an external and superficial level. Even once it passes and even once he's calmed down, I can feel the energy of everything that just happened, and it's like we carry it with us. It's like we continue to walk around with that anxious, dysregulated energy. So once he stops crying and, once we're having a totally different conversation, asking him what he wants for lunch, our nervous systems are still in that very dysregulated place,
Right.
right?
Right.
And so it makes it much more challenging, or I should say, much easier to find ourselves back in that state again very soon after recovering because we never really recovered. So I just want to highlight that, like, that's where the magic is I've experienced these moments of intense love and connection with my boys after these huge tantrums or like arguments over bath time or whatever it is. Then after that passes and our nervous systems are truly regulated, we are playing in a way that feels like I'm a little kid again.
Right.
We are laughing in a way that feels like we are absolute soulmates, right? Like the level of love and connection that is there, I genuinely did not even understand was possible, right?
Right.
Until this
I
last year and a
agree.
half or so. Like, I did not understand that that was possible. And it is absolute magic.
I agree. I completely think that is magic. I that makes me think of one incident last summer where I brought my kids to the pool. I was one mom, two young kids to the
Mm.
pool, which is like a crazy thing. And of course, we left, and my son did not want to leave and just had a complete meltdown. Neighborhood pool. Everybody's like, of course, everybody's like, oh, we've been there, but also, screaming child, just like interrupting the serene nature of the pool.
Mm.
And, we went through it. I was there with him and, sort of, said, what can I do? Let's hold you. Do you want a snack? That sort of thing. We went through the process. And later that night, we were reading. And, at the end of the book, I always say, I love you to infinity and beyond, or, something like that.
Sweet.
And my son goes, today at the pool, I cried, "I'm sorry." And I was like, "Oh my gosh." And I was like, "It's fine, sweetie. I, absolutely love you and I understand you didn't want to leave and that's completely normal." But it was just like that moment was so touching and,
Mm.
the connection we had. So, they do remember and they have, some sense of there's emotional dysregulation. They're processing their emotions, but at the same time, they still want to be held, they still want to be loved. And that's so important. And I think one thing that we can learn from the kids, because they almost have to, it's in their biology to process that emotion right then. And as you said, if you don't resolve it yourself, then it's lingering for you, it's lingering for them. And,
Mm.
as adults, we should be processing our emotions on a regular basis. And if we don't, it's stuck with us. So that's something, wonderful that we can learn from our kids, that, obviously we can't necessarily have the tantrums that they can have, although, maybe in a quiet house, in the middle of the day, yes, I want to scream when, something doesn't go my way, but,
Totally.
process that emotion. And like our kids having tantrums is a almost daily reminder that we need to process our emotions too.
Yes, I love this, and I love what a beautiful story with you and your son and him, circling back to it and verbally circling back to it later that night. I love that, and this is exactly what I'm talking about, like those magical moments where you get to not not repair necessarily, but speak to what happened, right? And let him know, like, that was okay. You did not do anything wrong. That was totally fine. We navigated that as best we could, and I'm never mad when you're upset. You're always allowed to be mad. You're always allowed to be sad. And, sure, we are, depending on the age of your kid, like we're working on finding ways to regulate, right? So with my sons, it's like we can be mad, but we can't hit. We can be mad,
Right.
but we can't kick, right? We
Yes.
can kick the couch, right? We
Hmm.
can kick the floor. We cannot kick our
Hmm.
brother, right? So kind of finding
Right.
those tools and talking about our kids being teachers. I, in my house now, I mean, a fly on the wall would think I sound like a, pre-K teacher, because I speak to them in the way that I have taught them to speak to me because it's helpful for me. So I'll say, Roman, I've asked you a couple of times to come to the table now, and I'm noticing that my temperature is rising. I'm feeling a little frustrated because I want to be listened to, and I really don't like it when I'm not listened to, and I'm noticing that that's
Hmm.
feeling really frustrating to me. And he takes note and he listens, right, in a way that he would not have if I was like, "Come to the table." I've said it 4 times already, right? So just verbalizing where I'm at, right? My temperature is rising. I'm feeling kind of frustrated, rather than getting to the point where I was irritated, I was frustrated, I was
Hmm.
annoyed, and now I'm ready to blow up, right? I'm sort of helping myself keep tabs on where I am while also communicating to him where I am, because it involves him. He deserves to understand, right? Because he can sense the energy in the room, and he can sense that I'm getting frustrated. He deserves to understand what's happening for me. But then it also helps me, by verbalizing in the moment, sort of tend to myself and be like, okay, what do I need to do, right? So that I am not getting to the point where I am raising my voice or, sounding super irritated or whatever it is. So these things that we are teaching them to do are super helpful for us too. And I feel like you opened with saying, I wish we would have learned this in our 20s. Yes. And how cool is it that our kids are learning it as kids? How
Hmm.
cool is
Yeah.
that, to walk through life with these skills, right? And they're going to go into adulthood having mastered their emotions and understanding their nervous system and how to tend to themselves when they are getting dysregulated. How cool is that?
Yeah. It's amazing. It's a gift. It is a gift for them. I feel like it's one of the best gifts we can give them.
Hmm.
I love what you said in terms of, conveying your emotions to your kids in a way that they can understand it. I'm starting to do that, but I'm not there, I guess, a daily basis level. And I also want them to be able to articulate their emotions before it gets to X stage. Do you have any advice or suggestions for how to do that for our kids?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, and it's going to be sort of age appropriate, right? So I think I probably started this with Roman when he was maybe just turned 3. And so depending on, how verbal your kiddo is and how sort of able they are to communicate, a place that I started was noticing for him. Noticing for him, like, it seems like you are feeling X, right? So there was an education piece that was happening there where did he understand emotions, right? Did he understand the words for emotions? So you want to first support your kid in, you can do this while you're watching TV together. Like, Dora seems confused, right? Or, Bob from Bob the Builder seems frustrated, right? How can I tell that he's frustrated? Oh, look at his eyebrows, right? So kind of helping them to notice in others, right, what it looks like. And then they can start to notice in themselves when they're feeling it. So this could look like just pointing out, it seems like you're frustrated, right? Or disappointment. I love highlighting disappointment with my kids, right? So that could just sound like, you can't find your fire truck anywhere. And I can tell that you're disappointed. It seems like you're really disappointed about that. So giving them the language, right, where then they can be like, oh, that's what this is. That's what we call this thing that I'm feeling. And kids are already so tuned into their bodies, right, that you don't need to help them notice their bodies necessarily, especially at a young age, like 3, 4, 5, 6. They are there. If you have an older child, they may have sort of started to come out of their bodies a little bit more. So you can coax them to notice, like, what does anger feel like in your body? For me, it feels like my face is getting hot. Sometimes I notice that I'm clenching my shoulders and my arms, right? There's a churning in my stomach. So you can sort of cue an older child to notice the body experience associated with emotion. But with little kids, it's just giving them a word, right? So that they know what to call that thing. And what's been really cool to see is that Roman will start to correct me. If I will assume that he is feeling a certain way, he'll correct me and say, I'm confused. And I'm like, oh, you're confused. You're not sure what it is that you're feeling. And he is starting to understand. I mean, at the age of 3, he's almost 4, but I didn't understand at the age of 26 that I could be feeling more than one emotion at once, right?
Right,
For a
exactly.
child to get, like, I am both mad and sad and confused all at the same time. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
so cool.
Yeah,
So cool.
amazing.
So just me verbalizing my own experience, right, has really helped him in getting curious about what am I feeling. And then helping him put words to, and I think we probably started with sad, mad, confused, excited, right? We probably started with some really basic ones. And again, it's not even been a full year and a half, right? That has been practicing this. So they get it quickly. They really
Mm-hmm.
do. And so he's gotten to use more sort of nuanced language in a very short time. Um, so I think that that's a beautiful starting point with a younger kiddo, is just observing, right? Observing
Yeah.
others and then mirroring to them what you think it is that they're feeling to give them that language, right?
Well, I was just gonna say, I love the discussion during, time with Dora or whatever. We haven't watched Bob the Builder yet. I need to do that because I think my kids with the affinity for construction. But yeah, taking those moments and saying, like, how do you think they're feeling? Why do you think that is the case? I started with introducing Lucas, my older one, to books, the series Grumpy Monkey. I don't know if you've heard that one, but basically, like,
I have. It's so
the
good.
yeah, yeah. Initially, he just wakes up and he's like, I'm not sure what I'm feeling today. And then, he goes through and he talks to the different animals and they're like, I think you're grumpy. And he's like, I'm
Hmm.
not grumpy. And, various iterations of that, but that just introduces the I'm not sure what I'm feeling. Let's talk about what we're feeling. And yeah, it's a great series. Definitely would promote for all the parents out there.
Yes, I love that so much. We have a podcast that we listen to at night where they read books, and that's where I just recently discovered Grumpy Monkey. And you're absolutely right, it is a beautiful illustration of what the heck am I feeling? Right. And then having something mirrored back to you. And what I love, because I was listening to it and I was like, where is the author going to go with this? Like, what is the takeaway going to be here? And what's so beautiful is that Grumpy Monkey gets to the end and it's okay for him to be grumpy. And he has a friend sit with
Hmm.
him who is also
Hmm.
feeling a little grumpy or, sad or something. And they just sit together and feel the way that they're feeling. And I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
so good. So
Yeah.
good. So I love that we can do this with television. We can do it with books. What a powerful way to provide some education and understanding, right? And do it together. Yeah,
Right.
I
Right.
love that.
Yeah, books, I felt like, well, and certainly TV for learning different things. I'm gonna
Mhm.
take your tip on the regulation for teaching and opening up discussion. But books for me has been like the most magical portal for, talking to my kids and getting them to have conversations and things like that.
Yes, absolutely. One of my favorites is oh, what is it called? The hu I don't know if I can remember the name of it. It's about, hugs in a hug factory inside of the heart, and that's where all of these hugs are made, and what my older son really gravitated to was there's what's called the web of sticky thoughts that's just outside the heart, and when the hug is leaving the heart and traveling to the heart that it's meant for, its destination, it has to be careful not to get caught in the web of sticky thoughts, and the web of sticky thoughts are like, "I'm not good enough. I'm all alone," right? All of these
Hmm.
things that we as adults are also navigating, right? All of these
Yeah.
sticky thoughts. And what's so beautiful is that all of the hugs know and are taught that if you get caught in the web of sticky thoughts, you stop struggling, right? Stop struggling, stop trying to get out of it, stop pushing against it, and you are still and you breathe. And it's something like you breathe in love or you breathe in light, something like this. You just take a deep breath and you think about the heart that you are meant for. So essentially, teaching kids to think about love. So you think about a special moment with mom or dad, or maybe a special moment at that beach vacation that you took, right? So beautiful way to teach these kids how to regulate, right, when they're getting caught in the mind. Because I feel like as kids get older and older, it's not necessarily the situation that will get them tripped up, it's their thoughts about the situation. Right. And so I love that illustration of the web of sticky thoughts because you get to notice, how is my mind tripping me up? How is my mind contributing to my dysregulation in this moment? And then it's a reminder to just stop, don't struggle, don't push against it, breathe, and come back to what we know in psychotherapy is like a resource, or just essentially just love, just thinking about a nice memory that makes you feel good. And it is one of his favorite books.
Oh my gosh, I need to get that for my kids. It sounds amazing. And it also sounds like literally some, and what we learned, last year, and that was a focus with Alyssa, is resource yourself, come back, learn and think about loving moments, and also know that
Exactly.
you have all these thoughts coming in, and you can choose your thoughts, and you can choose to not get stuck, and
Mhm.
this is okay. Well, I think this has been a wonderful conversation about regulation, emotional regulation for us and for our kids, and I really appreciate your time. I think we've we learned that there's, magical moments in really tough moments, and that we can learn how to be better people and better parents through, you know, going through these moments and opening it up as an opportunity for learning. and for more love to come in, even though it doesn't necessarily seem like it at the time of, emotional dysregulation for either us or our kids. So thank you for bringing this beautiful discussion to the podcast today.
Thank you so much, Erin. It's been such a gift to be with you in a topic that I absolutely love discussing. And I'm so grateful that you are bringing this out to the world and to parents that really need to hear it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you. And let's have a million more discussions about different topics, because I feel like I could talk to you for 5 hours about all these things. And then, next week, five other topics will come up. So
I love it. I'm here for it.
Yes. Yeah. All right. Great. Well, thank you so much, Nicole. And for the audience, may you find something magical in your day today.